Has the time not come, Prime Minister, to prescribe what is so obviously a terrorist organisation?
I will hear the question. Nigel.
Thank you. But within a couple of days we'd learned of a third assassination attempt.
Well, I'm glad to see the honourable member making a rare appearance back here in Britain.
Did Nigel Farage just shatter the foundations of British politics? In a jaw-dropping live TV appearance, he left hosts and viewers alike stunned with revelations that could reshape the UK's political landscape. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. From alleged police cover-ups to China's naval ambitions, Farage peeled back layers of secrecy, exposing a web of deceit that reaches the highest levels of government. But it's his bombshell about Labour's secret meeting with Elon Musk that set tongues wagging across the nation. Nigel Farage's words hung in the air, leaving the studio in stunned silence.
But he may have missed. I did congratulate the incoming president.
And in doing so, not just do the right thing, but maybe mend some fences between this government and the incoming presidency of Donald Trump's, given that the whole of his cabinet have been so rude about him over the last few years.
So much time in America recently, I was half expecting to see him on the immigration statistics.
He had just accused government agencies and police of concealing critical information from the public, hiding behind the rule of law to justify their secrecy. Farage argued that this practice leaves citizens in the dark about high-profile cases, eroding trust in institutions meant to serve and protect. The reaction from his fellow panelists was swift and divided. Ed Ball's voiced concern that Farage's statements could incite public unrest. He pointed to a specific case where a suspect had been under surveillance, highlighting the potential risks of revealing sensitive information prematurely. Susanna Reid echoed these sentiments, urging caution against compromising ongoing investigations. Their warnings underscored the delicate balance between transparency and the need to protect legal processes. Farage, however, remained steadfast in his position. Suppressing information fuels public speculation and distrust, he asserted, his supporters nodding in agreement. This sentiment struck a chord with many viewers who felt increasingly alienated from the political establishment. Farage's words tapped into a growing disillusionment with government institutions, as recent public opinion data suggests. Legal expert Lord Carril lent weight to Farage's arguments. He accused governments of manipulating legal frameworks to suppress information, a practice he believed only exacerbated public mistrust. Carril's support added credibility to Farage's claims, raising questions about the extent of information being withheld from the public eye. As the debate intensified, Farage presented evidence of what he called systemic failures in the UK justice system. He cited a shocking case where a criminal with 109 prior convictions had been released early. This example, Farage argued, epitomized the need for greater transparency and accountability in the justice system. The implications of these revelations were far-reaching. They raised critical questions about the balance between public right to know and potential risks to societal stability. Should public figures prioritize transparency over other considerations? The dilemma remained unresolved, leaving viewers to grapple with uncomfortable truths about the nature of governance and justice in the UK. But even as the panelists and audience processed these bombshells, Farage's expression hinted that he was far from finished. There was more to come, and his next revelation promised to shake the very foundations of British politics. Just when viewers thought they'd heard it all, Farage pivoted to an entirely new arena of concern. While we've been consumed with internal affairs, he began ominously, a sleeping giant has awakened. The studio atmosphere shifted as Farage delved into international relations and global security, his tone grave and urgent. Farage's focus zeroed in on China, a nation he claimed harbored extraordinary naval ambitions. He painted a picture of a rapidly expanding military presence, particularly in the South China Sea. "We see it literally every month," Farage asserted, as they encroach on new territories. His words carried weight, suggesting a looming threat that extended far beyond Britain's shores. The reaction from across the Atlantic only amplified the gravity of Farage's claims. According to him, senior members of the incoming US cabinet expressed horror at China's naval ambitions. This revelation hinted at a shared concern among Western allies, raising questions about the global response to China's military expansion. Recent data seem to support Farage's assertions. Public perception of China as a potential threat to the UK has been on the rise, with many citizens voicing concern over the country's growing military capabilities and assertive foreign policy. These worries appear to be rooted in concrete actions, as reports of China's land reclamation and military installations in the South China Sea continue to make headlines. As Farage spoke, the implications for the UK became increasingly clear. How would the government respond to this perceived threat? The UK's stance on China's naval ambitions has been cautious, with officials acknowledging the need for a robust response to ensure national security. However, Farage's revelations suggested that current measures might not be sufficient. The alarming information Farage shared about China's naval ambitions left the studio in a state of unease. He painted a picture of a nation rapidly expanding its military reach, potentially challenging the current global order. The speed and scale of China's naval development, according to Farage, posed a direct threat not just to regional stability in Asia, but to Western interests worldwide. As the weight of these revelations settled over the studio, Farage's expression hinted that he wasn't finished. There was more to come, a final bombshell that promised to bring the focus back to British soil. What secret meeting could possibly overshadow the global concerns he had just raised? The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as Farage prepared to deliver his most shocking revelation yet. Farage's revelations have peeled back the curtain on a complex web of secrecy and global power plays that challenge our understanding of UK politics. His accusations of government cover-ups and warnings about China's naval ambitions have left many voters reeling. These uncomfortable truths force us to confront the gap between what we're told and what's really happening behind closed doors. As citizens, we're now faced with a dilemma. How do we reconcile our desire for transparency with the realities of international relations and national security? Farage's bombshells have ignited a fierce debate about the limits of openness in government. Some argue that total transparency is naive and dangerous, while others insist it's essential for a healthy democracy. In a world where information is power, can we ever truly know what's going on in the corridors of Westminster or the back rooms of global summits? Farage's revelations suggest that the answer is no, at least not without watchdogs like him pushing for accountability. As voters, we're left to navigate this murky landscape, questioning not just what we're told, but who we can trust to tell us the truth.